You carry the world in your pocket, but do you know its secret history? The story of your smartphone began not with a sleek design, but with a clunky brick that few people ever saw. In the digital realm, a peculiar mystery haunts the halls of history. A phantom of progress born, not of grand conspiracy or a hidden civilization, but of a quiet, relentless ambition to put the world in one's pocket. To understand this epochal shift, one must first journey back to the dawn of a different era, a time when technology was a cumbersome beast, tethered to walls and desks. It was the early 1970s, and the world was in a state of technological flux. Computing was a privilege reserved for academia and corporations. The very idea of a personal computer was still a futuristic dream, yet a small, determined group of visionaries was already sketching the blueprints for a device that would shatter every known convention. They called it the Simon Personal Communicator. It was a brick, a marvel of clunky design and nascent ambition, weighing over 1.5 pounds. Forget the sleek glass rectangles we carry today. This was a black plastic slab with a stylus and a rudimentary touchscreen. Released in 1994, it was the first device to merge a mobile phone with a personal digital assistant, PDA. It could send and receive faxes and emails, and had a calendar, address book, and world clock. It was a glimpse of the future, a whisper of what was to come, yet it was ultimately a commercial failure. Its colossal price tag, over $1,000, and limited battery life meant that only a handful of enthusiasts and corporate executives ever held this piece of history. The Simon was a relic of its time, a fascinating footnote in the story of a revolution that had not yet begun. Meanwhile, in the shadows, a different kind of revolution was brewing, one centered not on hardware but on the invisible infrastructure of the internet. The 1990s saw the explosive growth of the World Wide Web, and suddenly, the possibility of accessing information from anywhere was no longer a science fiction trope. The question shifted from how to build a portable computer to how to connect a portable computer to the internet. This was the pivotal challenge that would define the next decade of innovation. It was in this landscape that the first stirrings of the true smartphone revolution began. They didn't come from a single, grand revelation, but from a series of seemingly unrelated breakthroughs. In Japan, companies like Docomo were developing iMode, a system that allowed users to browse rudimentary websites and download ringtones. In the United States, BlackBerry, then known as Research in Motion, was building a loyal following with its secure, portable email devices. These were not yet smartphones in the modern sense. They were specialized tools for business professionals, but they were laying the crucial groundwork for a mass-market device. Then came the turn of the new millennium. The early 2000s were a time of experimentation and often comedic failure. Remember the Nokia N-Gage? A phone and gaming console hybrid that required you to hold the device sideways to talk, like a slice of pizza to your ear. It was a bizarre, yet telling, example of the frantic search for the next big thing. While the industry fumbled for a winner, a secret project was unfolding behind the impenetrable doors of a certain Cupertino-based company. This was a project so secretive that its employees weren't allowed to discuss it, even with their families. Its goal was nothing less than to completely reinvent the mobile phone. The reveal was a masterclass in theatrics. On a frigid January day in 2007, a man in a black turtleneck walked onto a stage. He did not introduce a new phone with a better camera or a longer battery life. He introduced a complete paradigm shift. He spoke of an iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator, all in one device. He showed a multi-touch interface where users could swipe, pinch, and zoom with their fingers, a feat that had previously only existed in science fiction films. It was the iPhone. And with that single presentation, The world was irrevocably changed. The iPhone was not the first smartphone, not by a long shot, but it was the first one that felt truly magical. It was a complete departure from the keyboard-centric designs that dominated the market. It was an object of desire, a piece of art, and it set the stage for a dramatic, decade-long arms race. Within a year, Google had released Android, its open-source operating system, and the two platforms began their battle for global dominance. The market was flooded with smartphones, Samsung, HTC, Motorola, all chasing the tail of the 2007 revolution. But the story doesn't end there. The smartphone revolution was never just about the device itself. It was about the ecosystem it created. The real twist came in the form of the App Store. Before the App Store, a phone's functionality was limited to what its manufacturer decided to include. The App Store flipped this model on its head, empowering millions of developers to create their own programs, their own miniature worlds for the devices. Suddenly, your phone could be a taxi service, a map, a high-definition video camera, a social network, and a banking portal, all in the palm of your hand. This explosive, decentralized creativity was the true force multiplier. It transformed the smartphone from a tool into an extension of the self. The most profound and terrifying twist, however, is that this technology, which promised to bring the world closer, has also created a new kind of isolation. We are constantly connected, yet often profoundly alone. The mystery that began with a brick-sized communicator has culminated in a world where we stare into our screens rather than at each other. The ultimate paradox of the smartphone revolution is that we hold the entire world in our pockets, but we risk losing the world right in front of us. This is the great enigma of our digital age, a paradox of connection and disconnection, convenience and control, and the constant, unsettling presence of a world that is always just a tap away. There, down. And that's the real story behind the device in your pocket. A journey from a clunky brick to a sleek portal. From a futuristic fantasy to an everyday reality, filled with more twists than a true crime documentary. If you're as fascinated as we are by the stories behind the technology that shapes our lives, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. We're going to unearth more technological mysteries, from the lost archives of forgotten tech to the mind-bending theories of what could have been. See you in the next episode.